And welcome to the 5th episode of Anycast. This is my podcast where I talk about just about anything that's going on right now. And boy, sports-wise, we're starting to make a comeback. There was plenty going on this weekend, especially yesterday. But before we do that, since it is Memorial Day weekend, it's a big reminder that the reason why we're enjoying Memorial Day and the reason why we get this day off is because we're paying tribute to those men and women who had sacrificed their lives in prior wars that allowed us to have our freedom to enjoy this weekend, which many proclaim as the unofficial start to summer. But in light of what has unfolded this year, let's also include the healthcare workers and remember that they too are equally responsible for allowing us to enjoy what we try to do as we try to get back to some form of normalcy. And so, with that in mind, let's talk about sports, because for the first time in what seems like a long while, we had a busy Sunday, even if it wasn't our normal Memorial Day Sunday. We still had the Coke 600, and by golly, was that an unbelievable finish. Although you have to feel for Chase Elliott, because for the second race in a row, he had victory snatched away from him as William Byron spun out, forcing Elliott into a no man's land. You either stay out and everyone else is going to go into the pits, or do what he did. Go to the pits, everybody else stays. He did come back and finish third, although technically now he's going to finish second because Jimmy Johnson, who did finish in second, failed post-race inspection and got disqualified. But it doesn't matter because Brad Keselowski wound up getting the win. And if I have to have a non-Hendrick driver win, I don't mind Brad Keselowski winning. This guy is like total class act all the way. Speaking of class acts, though, that's how I feel about Kyle Busch in recent days. Of course, as you probably saw on Wednesday night's race at Darlington, he misjudged his moving into position and accidentally took out Chase Elliott, which is why he got robbed of the win on Wednesday night. Because then moments later, the rains came and Denny Hamlin, who had no tires left, was saved by Mother Nature and won the race. Kyle, in his interview, gave a class act performance, and I'm dead serious. He felt bad for Chase Elliott. He didn't mean to do it. He owned up to the situation and took full responsibility, and that's what I appreciate about Kyle Busch, about that particular moment. I mean, that shows a championship maturity. And even last night, although I don't like the fact that he or Chase Elliott were wearing masks, he came up to Chase Elliott after the race and, in a way, confronted him and said, look, I feel for you. That's essentially what happened. Jeff Gluck, who's an excellent Twitter page that you need to follow as far as NASCAR stuff, was basically saying that Elliott was saying, Kyle Busch was saying, I know there's a lot of saying going on around here, that basically he fell for him. But I like the fact that Kyle Busch took the time to go to Chase Elliott and say, hey, I feel for you. I've been in this situation before. But do we forget the fact that both of them were not wearing masks? I thought the whole point is to wear masks so we can help prevent the spread of coronavirus. But that's besides the point. So the Coke 600 was able to go on as planned. Normally we would also have the Monaco Grand Prix and the Indy 500. Well, this year, no Monaco Grand Prix and the Indy 500 got pushed to August. So what do we got in its place? We got ourselves one hell of a golf match. Quote unquote, the match. Some called it version 2.0. I like to think of it as just the match. And by golly, was it awesome to watch. You had Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning going up against Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson. And for the life of me, we got entertainment at its finest. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning doing some trash talk. Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson doing some trash talking. This was by far beautifully set up. I love the cart cams where you could see the golfers and they're all mic'd up so you can hear what they're talking about. And everyone was just having a wonderful time, even though Mother Nature decided to play spoiler. It was a torrential downpour at times down at Tiger Woods' golf club in Florida, but that didn't stop them from playing. It was absolutely fantastic, but no doubt the highlight was Tom Brady on the 7th hole. Because at this point, he had been horrendous, and he's making average people, normal people who work 9 to 5 shifts and don't really do this for a living. He made them look great because he absolutely could not find any grade whatsoever on the front 9. And then he gets to the 7th hole and he pulls off one hell of a chip shot that goes boom, rolls in, and everyone was stunned in disbelief and couldn't believe he made it. Even Tom Brady was shocked. But he was giving Charles Barkley a hard time because Barkley was ripping on him, which was pretty much the whole social media world. They were ripping on Brady. And then all of a sudden he pulls this off and everyone's jaws drop like this. I mean, that was just incredible to watch. In the end, Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning won it by a stroke or by one hole, I guess. But the real winner was the donations that were made. They donated $20 million to help with the coronavirus. I mean, that's absolutely remarkable. And that tells you what kind of power these athletes have. These figures that we've come to worship, we've come to respect. You can see their humanitarian out on the front table. And to do what they did was just absolutely remarkable. And I hope they do this again because that was absolutely fun to watch. And that totally makes up for the fact that we lost 2/3 of our racing Sunday because of the coronavirus. So I hope everyone got a chance to enjoy it. It was absolutely remarkable to watch. And so a great sign that we're starting to get back to some form of normalcy. And we've heard lately that it looks like the NBA and the NHL are slated to potentially make a push for returning in July. The NHL has come up with a 24-team playoff format where top 4 teams get a bye. Teams 5 through 12 would face off in best of 5 first-round matchups in order to face the top 4 teams. This is for each conference, by the way, in case you're wondering how this is going to work out. And so that leaves 7 teams out. I think it's a good idea because you have a bunch of teams prior to the pandemic closing everything down for the time being. You had a bunch of teams that were still in the thick of things. So basically, this was going to be like their playoffs down the stretch. So now they have a chance to play like actual playoff series to try to move on and get to the Cup Finals. Now, as far as the NBA goes, they're also trying to get back in July. They really don't have that much of a plan yet, other than the fact that they're going to try to play their games at the ESPN Worldwide Sports Resort in Orlando, Florida. Other than that, there really hasn't been any talks yet, but we'll see as things develop over the next week or two. I think this is when things are going to start to ramp up. And the MLB is still trying to push for a July return. At this point, it sounds like the only thing that's holding back is the players taking their pay cuts, which, from the players, I can definitely understand because it's like we've already sacrificed a bit. Now we got to sacrifice more. But here's the thing. I feel like if we can sacrifice our stuff in order to help reduce the spread of coronavirus, then they can sacrifice a few bucks. Besides, they got to be lucky to be getting that kind of money anyways. A lot of people are without jobs and may not get those jobs back because of what's unfolded. So these players have to be lucky that they're getting paid at all, any kind of money. And by the way, they're getting more money than most of us can ever dream of having. So I can see both sides of it, but it sounds like that's the only thing that's holding the MLB from potentially getting going in July. But again, we shall see. But now I want to go back to the coronavirus. And it sounds, by now, every state has had some kind of partial reopening. We're starting to slowly but surely reopen. And there's a lot of concern because if people are not taking this seriously and they don't follow the social guidelines and they don't follow the wearing of the mask, you could see an uptick or two in cases. You've already seen that in a couple of states, in Arkansas and North Carolina. And I feel like, for me at least, wearing a mask is important. You're not only protecting yourself, you're protecting others from potentially spreading the coronavirus. And so that's an important piece of element that we would need to have in order to make things a little bit more comfortable. Because until we get a vaccine, not a lot of people are going to feel comfortable going out and about. And I'm sure a lot of people are just anxious and they're just ready to go out because warmer weather and all that stuff. But it's okay to go out and about. But as long as you're doing it safely and smartly, then I'm okay with that. And so that's all I'm going to leave on that topic. But there's plenty to go around sports-wise, too. There's going to be more NASCAR this week. Charlotte's going to be hosting NASCAR races for the next 3 nights. So you got the Xfinity race tonight. You got the Truck Series race tomorrow. The Cup Series will have another round at Charlotte on Wednesday. And then they're just going to continue to progress with their schedule and go from there. So it sounds like, at least from the sports perspective, we're starting to make some progress and get to some kind of normalcy. The IndyCar is going to be coming back soon. Golf's going to be coming back soon. We just got to remember to we'll get through this together. We've gotten through way worse than this. And I know this could be up there as far as worst list, but we will get through this. We just have to do this together and remember that we're doing it for those who sacrifice their lives to give us a sense of normalcy. And that's especially with Memorial Day weekend, something that we need to remember. And let's not forget those who in the past sacrificed their lives in wars and battles. And that includes what's going on now with the coronavirus. Those who are sacrificing their lives to fight this battle. The healthcare workers, the nurses, the doctors. They're putting their lives out on the line to help us keep the spread down and to help us try to live some kind of normalcy. So let's remember the veterans, but let's also remember the healthcare workers, as I always try to do during my podcast. So thank you again for watching, and definitely stay tuned for the next podcast.